Good evening. This is Chippercon, and this is the Otherworldly show brought to you by Changing Times, Changing Worlds Conference, which will happen in November of this year. I'll tell you more about it at the end. Tonight, our guest is Archonstone, otherwise known as William Hegeman. Sorry. He is, I'm working my way through his book, which is a little bit heavy, but it's so very worth it. He knows his stuff. See, I didn't say shit. Anyway. And that was indeed intentional, a joke, but I hope, I don't know, maybe Lois will bleep it out in the recording. My microphone isn't working too well tonight, so I'm just going to turn it over to Archonstone and put up a bunch of links that you might want to follow up.
And I got just one link that would probably just be sufficient.
Oh, okay.
I found this
which one?
Linktree / Archonstone.
Just www.
It's an aggregator of links that allows you. You go to one place, you get all my links that I update on.
Okay.
So I'm trying to be more technically hip.
Good luck to you.
There you go. Today's topic that I've been asked to talk about is about psychic hygiene. People, places, and things, and people tend to be littered through each of these issues. Every tradition has their own ways of doing things. But the first thing, before I go into personal psychic hygiene, I like the idea of loosely talking about things that are prophylactic, things that you can do to prevent you getting psychic junk. And we all have experienced places that just are icky, and we get a sense of this is just not what we want to deal with. It gives us either shivers or icks, or it's draining or what have you. The first rule of martial arts is don't be there. You get a sense of something is nasty, you move away from it. Of course, dealing with like situations with work or stores or other places where things can aggregate, that's not the funnest thing to deal with. But if we're dealing with homes and your things are just, you're bringing stuff into the house constantly, the first place you need to have any comfort is your home. And with your home, you want to make sure that it's energetically clean. But if you don't have the skills for it, you know, the ideas of sage or resins, dragon blood, frankincense, myrrh, sandalwood, these type of things are good. But I know a lot of people have lung problems. So another simple remedy is a little asperging. In other words, putting on the walls a little bit of mixture of salt and lavender, water. I've used that. That's been helpful. Putting salt in a muslin bag and just rubbing it on the walls. Salt will work that way. But we're looking at, if we're not bringing it in, how's it flowing in? Looking into feng shui. If you are down astrally, you know, if you're like south of, usually, of like hospitals, jails, mental institutions, convenience stores where you got a lot of riffraff, you name it. Astral junk keeps on flowing in, and most of it is from people, and we'll talk about astral junk from people, because that's the stuff that we tend to accumulate and we have to worry about. So the things to do with your home, besides the saging or smoking or cleaning it with salt solutions, botanicals also have these floor washes. There's two main ingredients, a petrochemical and a salt. And you basically, the petrochemical will get into it, it'll pull loose astral, the salt will help dissipate it. If it's your property and you're downwind of something, you can plant things that are resinous, like hazelwoods, boxwoods, magnolias, azaleas. All these have resins on it that can help divert astral. You can also use iron or cross-link fences. That helps. Some people just, find the energetic flow, and they will stick a piece of rebar, and that will help drain it. You can put in your windows, pieces of iron. You can put dishes of salt. Selenite stalks are awesome. If they're pointing north, they will help activate themselves. Uses of witches bottles. If you use cracked glass witch bottles, the cracked glass helps cut up astral. But if not, you can put broken glass in a bottle. A little, a piece of iron, a little bit of vinegar in it to get the iron to loosen up, or a little bit of salt in it. Those are good. Objects of art that are made out of fruit trees, that they have their own resins, olive wood. So all those could be put in the windows or at doors. Black salt, just like a botanical floor wash. There's petrochemicals in it. There's salt in it. Not the Himalayan black salt, not the stuff that you eat. This is a botanical stuff, and you don't want to eat it because it's got nasty stuff in it. But it collects it, and you throw it out. Some people are comfortable with using black stones like tourmaline, what have you. I've had good luck with bloodstones. But this is assuming that you yourself are clean and you're not bringing it in. Stuff is flowing into the house. If you're at work, you always have these toxic individuals, and they're always coming up to the desk and what have you. You can have a little jar, and you can have a cover of it with salt. That's one thing. You can take a selenite stalk, put it on the far end of your desk where people come to deal with you. Sometimes they're feeders, sometimes they're vampiric in their nature, and they just feed. But when they reach out, those stalks will, that and salt will help dissipate their astral projections. And if their astral is being used up and they're not getting anything from it, they will tend to go away. You can use an object of art that's iron instead of iron, something that's interesting, and these people cannot help themselves but touch things that don't belong to them because they want to exert their particular control over you. Well, have the objects of iron so that when they handle it, they're draining off some of their astral along the way. Just simple things. But being an empath, we are picking up people stuff. And one thing to be aware of, that people take natural spirit from the world, they feed on it or feed on from other people, and they congeal and they create dense astral stuff that has information in it. And people give it away all the time because they have thoughts and emotions about things, but they're not attached to it, and they leave a trail of astral junk. So being an empath, we tend to pick it up. So first thing about it, as for psychic hygiene, is to learn to block it out. Just because you're sensing something does not mean it's relevant. This is where developing an awareness of your environment and people and stuff, so that you yourself project an aura of confidence. The one thing that I learned as an empath, the first thing that I did to be able to start turning the tide of being inundated by stuff, is realizing that being an empath or being a receiver, the trick is learning how to be a transmitter. And once you start having confidence, and this is the big deal, is having confidence in who you are, and confident in who you are now projecting a sphere of owning yourself. And that will mess people up. They will get more aggravated. They will try to taunt you, tend to get you interacted enough. Just hold on to that confidence. The other thing is choosing what type of energy you do. One thing I found that's very simple is being able to have a good, hearty, vulgar laugh. And you do that, you kind of like twist your arms like this. You feel chills. Well, that's because you're putting energy right into your skin, right into it, and it will boost your confidence, give your sense of joy of who you are. And you do it often enough, and people are trying to get you down. It's like, no, I'm being up. You're not getting me down. I'm not going to allow you to elicit energy from me by having emotions that are not mine. So having confidence in who you are, so you can stop feeding them. That's one of my things. Just never, ever, ever feed vampires and sociopaths. Usually they're close enough to be the same. But if you get ick on you and stuff like that, you can wear iron or steel, hematite. That will help. Yes, absolutely. That will help drain the stuff off. I wouldn't suggest doing it all the time because sometimes it can drain energy from you. But if you have control, and you put now here's the thing about things and how to clean things. If you actually imprint steel, you can do it the same way that you clean things. Any porous object, wood, paper, fur, leather, cloth, will generally attract or various kinds of astral. And sometimes people playing with it, messing about with it, just being in an environment. One bit of psychic hygiene that I do is I just take my arm, make all the muscles in it, and I tighten up my fingers. And you do that, you pass it over your hand, you're going to feel energy coming right off your fingers. It doesn't take any magic. It doesn't take any psychic development. It's just a matter of using your muscles. That's yang energy. And you pass that over any object, you can clean it. It'll actually disperse it. So it's you just, whatever you do, you can use your finger. It's like squeeze your finger like you're milking a cow. In reverse, you can point it out through your finger. All your fingers. You can cup your hand, and you're actually generating this type of a yang energy. I won't call it astral because it's designed to move, motivate, control, or destroy astral. It's about controlling it. So you can do that over objects. if you have a strong enough personality like Star Wolf, and he wears iron, you are imprinting metal, and you can do the same thing by this activity, and you can point it, and you can actually draw an energetic signature in it and give it some intent, and you can bury it into the domains of metal, and it will actually take on an intelligence that will interact with you. That's a bit of magic. It's not something that everybody's able to do, but it definitely works. I made a belt buckle. It had aluminum, and it had a leather over it, and I created an eye, and I loaded that up with all sorts of protective concepts, constructs, and booby traps and whatnot. And I've only pulled it out once in the past 40 years. So it was very successful in an office that I worked at, that I used to wear daily. So yeah, you can make amulets. You can you work them with those intelligences. But dealing with stuff that's imprinted in a house, you move into a new house. Sage isn't, the smoke is not going to work it. A simple wash is not going to work it. Sometimes a salt scrub will work. I like a selenite stalk that works like a magic eraser. It goes in, if you squeeze it hard enough, it will actually generate, it's like an astral leaf blower. It will actually get into an inch of gypsum. It will get into wood and whatnot, where it will actually start dispersing it. And then, of course, the thing is, once you loosen this astral, if you haven't destroyed it, open the doors, open the windows, and sweep it out. The cinnamon brooms that everybody has for like ornaments, they're nice and resinous. They work very good. You can sweep the astral right out of there. A regular broom with good yarrow, you get a vigorous sweeping. You actually will generate a charge on the end of your broom, so you can use that. And then once you get it charged up, you can, get rid of the cobwebs in the house and whatnot. You can still direct the stuff outside. So dealing with people, knowing that every day they slough off congealed bits of astral, usually have bits of information, and it becomes important for your own personal psychic hygiene to know who you are and what you're not. Now, I have a meditation routine. I go through that and I quiet my body, and basically whatever thought that comes, an emotion that comes in my head, is it mine? I'll put it in a box. If it's not mine, I'll let it go. And I have to consciously and emotionally detach. This is not mine. I'm not emotionally invested in it anymore. So if you do that and you can let go of the emotions of it, you're actually practicing detachment. That helps you let go of it, okay? The other thing is I do an exercise, and it's a basic grounding. I got this little technique. It's like where you take your feet and you point them slightly in. You don't want it like this because you'll hurt your knees, and I don't want, just slightly in, and basically you're standing up with your knees, your toes slightly in. You want to hold into yourself as you straighten up. You breathe in, holding on to who you are, even if you laugh. This is me, who I am. And then you just bend your knees a little bit. You breathe out. Let go what's not me. What's me, you'll find you'll be drawing it in from the earth, okay? So you'll find you're actually telling compatible energy to come. and you're letting go what's not you. And when you do this, you'll feel that your legs want to twist out, and you feel like your shins, your legs are twisting. Well, you're actually doing the same thing that I did for how to cleanse an object. You're actually having your bones and your fascia and your like actually drill an energetic channel into the earth. And from there, you relax, you breathe out what's not you. You hold on to who you are. Let go what's not you. So that is just as simple as I can make that. The other thing is not get it on you in the first place. Shields, shields is a great thing. Okay, but owning who you are and you have to have enough energy, an astral yourself. You're actually pushing it out with a nice out breath and say, "This is me," but you got to put intent on it. All your barriers, boundaries, concepts that you're not going to put up with, because you know, as a nice person, most empaths are not always set up and prepared to deal with sociopaths. We want to be nice. We want to have a nice day with nice people. We want to have a good thing. So we are setting ourselves up for an intrusion. Well, when you set up your barriers, you got to act out in your mind how you deal with all the noise, all the people who are noise, all the people who come in and they start up a conversation on how to elicit things from you that they have absolutely no right, no concern to do so, and no concern for you. So you just put that out in a barrier. When you do that, you'll sense something. You're actually putting up not only a barrier, you're putting up a ward, so that your barrier will inform you of the nonsense that's coming. And you say, "No, I don't need this. I'm going away." Stop. Okay. So having a proactive way of saying, "I don't want to deal with this." Okay. You have to put it out there, and you have to practice it. Sometimes I do what you call rehearsals. Basically, I play all the different parts, the abuser, the sociopath, and who I am as a nice guy, and then I practice. Okay, yeah, not my circus, not my monkeys, absolutely, but it's a way of training yourself to react, establishing your boundaries. Because as soon as you know what your boundaries are, and you project confidence in who you are, you can shut that off. Boom. 95% of that stuff will stop. So the concealed ick and how it affects you in your sleep and your psychology and what have you, that comes from people. When we do get it in and we circulate it, what happens is we tend to get weird dreams that don't follow who or what you are. And that's because you're trying to process a bit of astral that is not you. That is not part of who you are. So you will have some of these underworld dreams that kind of, or dreams that try to process stuff. And it was probably nonsense from another person. They probably let it go because, yeah, that doesn't make sense. I'm letting it go. But they leave that around. You catch it. You're trying to process it. Okay. So that is part of the process. Like, this doesn't belong to me. Okay. Where do you find these type of pools of stagnant or a bunch of junk that comes from people? Of course, any place where people are, churches, uh, uh, office buildings, you know, um, I can't think, the mega store, malls, the word I'm looking for. Um, that all that stuff is coming out of people all the time, and sometimes it's worse. Okay. Um, have your boundaries, whatever. What you look for, yes, state fairs. People bring all sorts of issues. Okay. Um, what you want to watch out for is corners, stagnant places, places that are dark. You can find those in bars and what are especially old divey bars. Then that congealed astral stuff turn into what I call larvae. They become a parasitical type of non-sentient thing that feeds off of people. You can just eradicate them. You can burn them, dissipate them like that. So sometimes they get on. If they get on you, you're really going to have to say, I don't need this. A good table knife will do. You can take a table knife if it's steel. Silver, not so much. If it's steel, stainless steel, you can scrape that off. It's also helpful because they tend to be drawn to people's backs. Vampires, whatever. I'm not dealing with the critter removal for this talk, but just a good old steel spike, something steel. You can get back scratchers that are made out of steel. Used to chicken feet and comb it off. Yes, what you're talking about now is material that is uh, uh, got fibers in it. It's basically porous. Even if it doesn't seem porous, you get fibers going along the length of it, and you can charge it up, and it will pull stuff off of you, but it will also stay on it unless you clean it psychically. So it's like if you're going to have a tool like that, you got to clean it. Okay. Other things for cleaning tools, you can use a thing of salt, a thing that's got a selenite wand in it, things with steel, iron, you name it. But the thing is, in Star Wars class, you don't want to put things that melt in it. It's most of the time stones work pretty good. You flash stones, and you kind of reset them. And people will set them out in the sun or the moon or what have you. You can do the same thing, and say you will be clean. Just I do that, and some people get upset with me. It's like, you didn't have to incinerate that poor critter. Well, spiders are okay outside. They do not have to be inside, and I don't have a way of training them to exit the building, if you please. Same thing with astral critters. If you have the ability to sense out, these, usually most of the time they're non-sentient. You get a sense of what they are and their vibe. You can generally kind of open a portal to their plane and shove them through, shut the door, and say, have a good one. Places like Walmart, people will have issues nonstop, and it will these big buildings, instead of like larvae lurk around a dark corner of a bar, that stuff will hibernate and grow big in air handlers, and they will generate and elicit more problems from people because they make use of the aluminum conduits. And I've more than once I've had to go clean out the obsidian chips. Yep. The basically flash fry the aluminum and get rid of the critter and send it to someplace that's really sunny, and it will annoy it. Star Wolf makes a good point. Like in Windows, to keep things that actually coming through besides just loose stuff. Sometimes critters trying to come through windows and whatnot. Obsidian, volcanic glasses, Pele's tears, Apache's tears, all these type of things. Glass, well-worked iron. Well-worked iron will end up having very tight occlusions, layers in it that will actually cut critters and whatnot, and are also useful for scraping off your body. Here at our house, we got razors we take to each other now and then, just scrape off the dead skin and extra hair and parasites that we might pick up. And I'm talking about astral parasites. We use baths for the regular. Yes, energy that just gets stagnant. It will collect and take on a flavor and an energy of what's going on. So dealing with people, places, things. My big caveat that I want to have people remember, and also fall is coming up. Every fall and every spring, on every single forum that I'm on, you will have a rash of people saying, "Oh, the fifth dimension's coming. There's coming an apocalypse. There's a new age. There's always some big hullabaloo. I feel something is shift, something is moving, something, I mean, besides the thinning of the veil, I want you to remember how good trees are. Because the thing is like in the fall, the leaves shrivel up. What we don't realize is a lot of the astral junk that we deal with is minor compared to what trees deal. Flows out of houses, out of buildings. It grounds out in the trees. The trees pick it up. It goes up into their leaves. They stick it in the sun. The sun gets rid of most astral. If it sits there long enough, it will dissipate. If I do an astral, make a ball and pass it to people, it will last longer the darker it is. The more I compress it and twist it and put more into it, the longer it lasts. But sit it out in the sun, ultraviolet light from incandescent bulbs, fluorescent bulbs. Oh, fifth dimension, apocalyptic. I'm all trying to describe the fifth dimension as a structure of time. Now they're saying, oh, there's a structure of time, and physicists call it time. Then they say sixth dimension, seventh dimension, whatever nonsense. So what happens is the trees start pushing all this stuff with the leaves, like we're not putting it out there anymore, so it's blowing up. So part of the wild hunt, part of the things where you get these southwesterly winds in our climb, pushing walls of this and storm front. You get all these paranormal events and whatnot because they kind of congeal, pick up spirit fragments, whatever, but also the nonsense. For years, it would just like affect me, and I would like have 1,000 dreams that are all nonsense. And I am trying to make sense of it. You can't, because it's not you, it's not them. People let this stuff go. They wanted nothing to do with it either. So it's real. You put up shields. You put up a shield, around your bedroom. You put a ward around it so that you don't want that, but you also want to get rid of it before you try to sleep, because you're picking it up all day. Okay, this happens 4 weeks out of 4, 6 weeks out of the year. once the trees go dormant, it's done. It grounds out. If you're up in the Northeast, it doesn't ground out so much, but bounces on the snow, but it's up there and it gets obliterated. But if there's dark hidey holes of organic matter, it'll congeal, but that's why you have different weird stories in the Northeast and do down here. In the spring, just the opposite, but it's same deal. Trees are starting to wake up, starts churning the stuff, all the stuff that's been grounded out for 5 to 6 months, but the leaves aren't out yet. And I hear the same stuff, and I'd have the same issues. And and when it's fully leaf, the noise stops. People start acting like everything's normal again. The caveat that I have for sleeping, besides doing awards, having iron, salt the windows, whatever, people put bubbles up. Some people feel comfortable about creating a circle around them, and they make it go Deocil. Okay, that's great until you overdo it. You spin energy this way, you're actually bringing up underworld planes. And then there's critters that want to feed off of whatever they come in contact with. If you spin it enough, sometimes you get an outside eddy that goes in opposite directions. And then you get some shadow people and mirror planes. They tend to be vampiric. I just change the direction of energy, send it away. I've had some, I remember having one horrible set of, I got a story. One time I was doing this a lot, okay? And I woke up, I gotta get ready. I went to the bathroom, I brushed my teeth, and I watched my body tip over, spit things out, and then see a mirror image of me in the mirror with black eyes, and it was like, okay. And I go, I'm waking up. Ah! Okay. This happened 7 times in a row. At the last time, I really put some juice in my dream to say, this is going to stop. This is whatever. And then I realized I got to back off that circle, get that energy backed off. Imprint the area with a better, more more compatible energy. So I'm attracting the right type of other planes. I don't want to attract these type of planes to me anymore. So that came very helpful when I'm helping people where they're actually dealing with shadow people and whatever. It kind of gave me that lesson to see, yeah, this is where it is. And I go to a town where just below the surface, everything's running counterclockwise, but everything. So they got these mirror shadow people, and the surface is spinning the opposite direction. You start paying attention to things like that. I think that's most of the material there. And let me get my glasses on. If they don't take it, squish. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, chicken feet, eggs, all that stuff. It's like, stick to this and go. Leave me alone. But that all works well. But you get then you got to dispose of the things properly. Yeah, and if you put them next to a railroad, guess what? You got iron on the railroad. If you put it up against the wall, you'll get a flow of astral that will pick it up and disseminate it in the world. Follow the different types of flows. Tie it with a bag of salt, and so it, they mutually negate each other. So the other part about psychic hygiene, the next step is when doing meditation, is going through after you learn how to quiet your mind, order your mind the whole bit, is I go through each inch of my body and I meditate how it feels, how it flows, how it connects. And this could be in a half-hour workshop where I just do a path working with that. You feel it, and if you feel something sticky, whatever, generally something your mind is going to say, "Hello, I'm responding to that." So you do the inner work to deal with it. Eventually, you're going to be able to just take a breath and feel your body and find your your equilibrium, the point that you have. You always start out from where you're at. So. And you'll become aware of what's going on. And the one thing I did when I was 13 years old that seemed to work, and it also helps with other people, is what I call a sieve. And basically what I do is I generate an energy between my hands that is me, what I project the best of me. Okay, and then I just kind of put that and I slowly sift and sieve out anything that's not me. If it straightens out and kind of preens my aura, that's fine. But I just do this, and you feel things, just work it out, and then just keep on doing it until you can ground it out in the ground. I found that worked great for many years. I still do something similar, but mostly I do the internal work, because it's usually very specific things that kind of attach to me and my personality and what have you. So what draws to me? It's like, yeah, I'm an ex-Marine. I lived in a bad neighborhood. I have anger issues, and I will draw some of this stuff to me, and I have to do my mental hygiene so I don't draw the psychic stuff to me. And I think that about covers most of what I can come up with my mind. Unless someone has a question.
I wanted to ask, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The trying to when you discover or have accidentally created the circling and then the eddies go in the opposite direction, do you have a technique for dealing with that? So
Yeah,
first step is you detect it, then.
Yeah, I just spin energy the other way. Try to get a different flavor. If there's a plane that is there, sometimes you're drawing it from a distance. So if you just stop what's calling it up, it's just calling in the energy of the area, and sometimes doing overworld energy that is not from where you're at, but you're actually, if you point your finger up, you're drawing it via sill, but it's actually, if you look down, it's counterclockwise. So the counterclockwise, if you focus on overworld, it's kind of it's time, it's fifth dimensional time structure, dispersing. That can help disperse underworlds, because underworlds tend to be a collapsing of time and space. Because if you go in those dreams, it's like you're going on a path and you see an object, you feel something. Next thing you take a turn or you feel something different. The imagery changes. It starts shifting. Those are typical underworld dreams. And but when you're pulling it, it's going to be normal to all you're expecting, but anything that gets beyond you and your influence, the flow of planes or how they interact are going to take on the nature of where it's at. But it's a matter of just saying, okay, I want this plane to be X. but you get those mirror planes or dark planes where things are at. You just kind of like, no, you just like, you just shove it away. It's like you have your own right energy, and not identify with it, and you just kind of, I don't need this, go away. But you change the precipitating energy that brings it there. It'll go away on its own. It's just being aware of it. It becomes useful when you see pockets of stuff like that, and you can just like spin energy one way and another way. You can drop it. I mean, if you do watersheds on the earth, you're actually pushing underworld energy away. And if you're affected by some deity that is not being honest and truthful for you, you can also point to the sky and go counterclockwise and push the overworld energy away. Okay. Now the thing is, we all have overworld and underworld energy affinities. It depends on what we deal with, how we deal with it, and we can attract this supernatural stuff. But here in the physical, we got a lot of control over it, because we can spin the energy anyway. We can use our body to do it, our mind to do it. We can be aware of it. We can also choose what we want to connect to. It's you can go choose forward in time. You do a clockwise turn of your energy with your own timeline. You can project a set of choices you want. You can take a look at things of the past by spinning it counterclockwise. You do that, and you'll start having deja vu and all sorts of weird things. If you have a consistent energy pattern, and you lay in bed and you spin the energy clockwise, well, it's going to affect your timeline, and you're going to be aware of future events.
Feather,
Yes.
you've had your hand up, so I was wondering.
Yeah. Well, I was struck when you were talking about the seasons and the trees, and it made me wonder, what is climate change doing to that? We're getting hotter summers, we're getting either brutal winters or no winter at all. What is that doing to that natural cycle of the seasons and how these energies flow?
Yeah. Basically, the trees and plants will do what they do, what they can do, when they can do it. But like upstate New York, let's say Albany, Troy area, used to be that the river would be frozen a foot thick all the way across the river. Now the water is flowing all through winter, and upstream you get you're not keeping the snow year round. So what happens is the stuff is grounding out, and some of it, the trees are not used to dealing with that. So you're then looking at things that are specific to like valleys. Okay. Out here in the Piedmont plains where I'm at, some of the plains are circular. You go up the mountains, the plains tend to go off of faults and different mountains, whether they're ley lines or they're fault lines, but the plains that are attached to them tend to be more planar. In the Hudson Valley, all the way from Lake Champlain, going from north to south, the stuff flows. So you get this natural tick that keeps her going, and some of the mentality that's going there is worse. You get stuff going from west to east, which gets fed by southwesterly winds that'll bounce back and forth, and then will come down the Mohawk, and you will get the flavors of like the cities of Utica, Syracuse, and whatnot. Utica's, if you've been to Utica, you know that, the energy there is kind of like been mob run for forever. So,
I'm in Syracuse, and we have had record numbers of stabbings, shootings, murders of that kind, deaths of that kind all year this year.
It was getting worse 25 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's
I'm born and raised. It's,
part of its
I've done here.
politics, and part of the programming of people.
Mhm.
And that the show's not about me wanting to go on a leftist rant and how politics has generated more white supremacists in New York and Pennsylvania faster than any other states.
Yeah.
And I watched it when I was working up there 30 years ago.
Mhm.
So
If we get a flow of any kind from east to west here, it's the canal, the Erie Canal, probably.
well, if you get
I'm in
wind
the northern
below
part of the
east-
Finger Lakes.
yeah, if you get east to west, that doesn't happen as often, but it's the southwesters that are particularly bad. That's like one reason why Native Americans will have in their circles, the way they enter the powwow circle is from the southwest.
Okay.
This is where you put all your guardians at. When you get southwest energy, you get these giant flows of, your when you get high pressure fronts and you get these thunderstorms, it pushes all that astral junk. And it sometimes it's good, it blows it away. Sometimes it catches pockets. I mean, like, late winter, early spring, late fall, when all that stuff's going on. This is where you get a lot of these traditional concepts of beings hunting these spirits and whatnot. I was working in a store. I was 15. We had one of these southwesters. It was real bad because you get these flatline winds. The horizon turns copper, and the north side of the building, the door opened up to the east. So if the wind's blowing from the west, it's gonna it blew it shut hard. But in the middle of it, it unlocked the door, flung it open, and wind barreled into the building. I go in and I close it. Okay, so I go and I pick up. I'm being a clerk. I'm loading up shelves, and I pick up this big giant box of toilet paper, and I'm marching out to the thing. The next thing you know, the box just gets pulled out from behind me, whing, just like that. Nobody's there, no wind, no nothing, and my spidey senses went on, and I just like, gather myself, gather my energy, gather my confidence, and then I says, "You get out of here!" And there was a wind going straight for the door, opened the door, and then the door shut. So it was like, something came in there. That's one reason why they say one of those things is like, if you get storms like that, you open the front door, you open the back door. You want the wind to blow that stuff out and not keep it in. Whether it's underworld wolves or from Anuan or from Odin or just bad critters or bad ghosts or you name it. Get them out of the house. And once it's done, you close the door facing it, and then you take a broom and you go and sweep everything out the back door. Get out. It's time to go. And it's, we want peace in the house. Simple things. But yeah, as far as climate change, I don't know. I don't know how much more. I just know if you have more ick, and it just kind of has no place to ground out. It's not getting exposed to the sun because of the winter. A lot of New York is wooded. Okay, it's got a lot of woods, and a lot of nasty icks can just hide. Down here in the south, the trees are sparse enough, and where the woods are heavy, it's not affected by people. But you know, you get, you know, all along the Northway there, and you know, even going down to Coleskill or going out to Syracuse, you got all the woods, all the stuff that it just kind of funnels it, and makes sense why the farmers got their buildings up on the hills, up on a ridge, out of the way from the valleys, because besides it flooding,
Yes.
you know, and this is one of the things that's like feng shui is something to look into, because it basically says a lot of astral flows from north to south, but also, you know, the winds push it, and they call this Sha. And well, natural flow of energy coming from north is what it is. But if you have a house and you got a room in the south that doesn't have any doors out, they call that the bad ghost room. This is where energy ends up collecting and going stagnant. They're very big on, like, you know, making sure you don't have any stagnant corners, things that never get sunlight, never get air, you know, odd things like that. Also, yeah, it's like you don't want your front door of the house pointing out to an open road that is coming directly to you. Not only if the car has bad brakes, but people's stuff, you know, as they're coming to a stop, you know, it keeps moving.
Yeah.
If you
Laws of physics apply.
If you get to the point where you are sensing overworld and underworld energy, and you can see it in people and you follow it, you can start looking along roads and whatnot, and you'll see this kind of, it's like a tendril that almost is like a collective consciousness of all the people that go along that road. And it you know, the thing is, it can infect you. You know, it's like Albany, New York. It's not the same because it's not so much the road, it's an area. And you have these tendrils of cultural context or collective consciousness that has a history going back 300-500 years. You have a group from Little Italy, you know, the Polish section of the town.
Same
another,
here.
you know, all these things. You walk across the street, and the energetic shift changes. Okay, and if people who live there, their short-term memory sucks. They don't remember conversations going back 2 weeks. You know, partly because it's associated. They want you to forget whatever they said, but it's also because they can't remember, because they energetically shift so much. They don't have an stable energy pattern for them to actually build a coherent long-term memory. It's
Fascinating.
yeah, you watch that, and I moved down here, and people like remember things 6 months to a year. You know, little things you said. In Albany, whatever you said 2 weeks ago is gone. You know, and if anything, then if they're sociopaths, they're making it up.
All of a sudden, it seems rather significant to me that Syracuse, sometime while I was living in New Hampshire, Syracuse developed this program of identifying different neighborhoods in the city. And each neighborhood has its own name and has a big sign welcoming people to that neighborhood. And each one has its own flavor. Each one, there's a Polish district, there's Little Italy, there's the Park Avenue district, and each one has its own feeling to it.
That's great if everybody gets along.
Yeah, it is.
The Bronx is different. Every
Yeah.
block is different. You know, and it's an antagonistic. You go up there. You know, that is a great way to build things. I mean, down here in Atlanta, we have these different ethnic get-togethers and whatnot. So it's more cosmopolitan, and there is none of that stuff that I experienced in Albany and Troy, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Knoxville, and I haven't been everywhere in the world, so I can't name them all. But
Okay.
but other
Well, thank you for
towns,
discussing this element. Yeah, we should let ChipCon.
Yeah.
Take back the program here.
Yeah, we do want to wind up, but I just
It's a
thought
burned
I'd,
over district. What's that?
oh, that's what they call the area between Albany and Buffalo. It's every
Really?
new thing from Mormonism to the Fox sisters just went through there, and they were just open to learning every new thing that went through, and it was a fascinating period in the 19th century.
I'd never heard the term.
Oh, it's cool. Do look it up.
I
Anyway,
like the fact that it's gone to the west end of the state where it isn't where all the negative stuff is congealing. It's out there where it's fresh and getting open lakes and everything.
okay. Anyway, so we got to wind up. This is where I thank you very, very much. I thought I would throw in a quote that I heard Orion Fox would say a few times. Apparently his mother used to say, apropos of the psychic hygiene, she'd say to her clients, honey, you done stepped in something. And I just love that because it conveys absolutely no guilt. It just like if you stepped in a cow patty or a dog turd, you have to take it off because otherwise it's going to stick to you and mess up your entire environment and maybe contaminate what's around you. But there's no guilt. It's just you done stepped in something. Let's see if we can clean it. And it's like that just, I love that attitude. But so the psychic hygiene hints, wonderful. Do look at Bill's book, and it's full of all kinds of useful stuff. And remind people that the Changing Times, Changing Worlds Conference will be held virtually on November 7th to 13th. Evenings on Monday through Friday and all day Saturday and Sunday. Registration is open, and until the end of August, we are having a challenge. If we can get 50 new registrations during August, we will add a second track, which basically, yes, it's going to mean you have to pick which one you're going to go to live and then which one you're going to watch recorded. But it is going to double the cool classes.
And there's some really cool things waiting if we can do that.
God, the things waiting. But and we're counting all of the registrations. You can, if you get the live plus watch the recordings for a month, it's $45. If you watch, if you want to rewatch and watch them for a year, that's $85. And a second person in the household goes down to $40 and $20. And those still count toward those registrations. We just want to make sure there's plenty of people there being able to appreciate these great speakers and what they're doing. So tell your friends, if you're planning on coming to the Changing Times, Changing Worlds Conference anyway, get your reg in by the end of August so that we can add that no extra cost and twice the cool stuff. Again, thank you, Bill. This is just wonderful. And I'm going to stop the recording now. And 2, 3.